Hey, DC's ready. DC's on.
WTUG HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. A Town Square media station.
One man to beat. You can forget about it. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. On a Tuesday morning, we're live, local, and ready to get things going. We want to invite you to get in the conversation because we got DC Capstone Report joining us today. He'll be with us throughout the entirety of today's broadcast. So I want to make sure that you are ready to interact with him as well as Xavier, myself, and we have Joe back behind the controls today. Also, Joe will be running his own show today at 11, Cup of Joe. So, but man, listen, if you're trying to stay in the know in sports, especially when it comes to Tide sports, you need to stay tuned right here all day long. Tide 100.9. You can also join the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports, on the online network at Martin Houston 35 each and every day on Facebook and YouTube, and the Martin Houston 35 on Facebook. You can also check it out at X's and O Sports. And then when DC's on, we even broadcast live on DC's Facebook page, DC Capstone Report. So lots of opportunity to catch us there. And then always the playback, you can download the app on Tide 100.9. So there's zero excuse, Joe, for people not to be able to keep up with what's happening with Tide 100.9 in the sports that's happening around this station. So great show lined up for you today. But before we get into that, I want to remind you that this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice, be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, Martin. How you this morning?
Doing well. Of course, we have an hour, and Joe can relate to this. It's like by the time you get started, you either have to choose every day. You have to choose whether you're gonna go deep or you're gonna go wide. You know, whether you're gonna run a power offense and pack it in, and just pound the topic, or if you're gonna run a spread and try to hit a bunch of different things. Yesterday we hit several different topics, and we'll circle back with you, DC, on those topics as well as get your thoughts on it as well. One of the poll questions, DC, I'll let you simmer on a little bit, was that I asked the question, what does Nate Oates have to do to match the accomplishments of Nick Saban in terms of his first 4 years? Does he have to win a natty? Does he match him by winning at least one Final Four, meaning that he plays for a national title, or just making it to the Final Four, or nothing? He's already accomplished as much with his current success as Nick Saban did, taking this program to new heights. So that's one. Mull on that for a little bit. Then I want you to think through kind of 3-point play. And I want you to take a little different angle today. And X, I want you to get in on it too. 3-point play today has two facets to it. One is what's Alabama's big three? What three guys have to show up if Alabama's going to make a deep run? Alabama had a big three show up in the tournament with Miller, Quinterly, and Bediako. Is that the same three that needs to show up big time in the tournament for them to make a deep run? That's one angle to take there. And then the other 3-point is, what three aspects of Alabama's game do they have to make sure that they grade an A+, an A in, if they're gonna win? And so that's kind of 3-point play. And then we'll get to what's the Alabama. I want you to complete the statement. Alabama wins the national championship if they do. All right. So kind of setting the stage for that. And of course, if we don't get to all of this, DC, you had to come back. I guess we'll let you come back. Is that okay?
Sure, no problem.
Absolutely. And then the last thing, of course, we'll talk a little football with you today, being that the next time you come on, Alabama would have started spring practice. So you're going to be the coach for a day and tell us what you got going on. Nick Saban, what you've been focusing on, what's going to be priority number 1, 2, 3, maybe as you move throughout this season. So, I mean, the spring practice, what are you going to be focused on? And there's going to be some obvious things, but looking for you to think outside the box maybe. But either way, we'll talk about all of those things this morning. But first of all, DC, what's your overall reaction? Alabama SEC tournament champions, SEC regular season champions, MVP of the tournament in Brandon Miller, 3 all SEC players. What's your thoughts on this Bama team before we get into the 3-point play?
Well, as I told Joe as I was coming on the show, what a time to be an Alabama basketball fan. I mean, to be alive now and experiencing this is just amazing, I think. And I think sometimes we don't realize that while we're watching history be made, that's what we're watching. But and this team has accomplished so much already. And when you can, and Nate Oates, I don't believe has gotten his due as being a good coach, what he's done. But when you look at it and you say, well, there's 4 Alabama teams that have won the conference championship and won the SEC tournament, and of those 4 teams, Nate Oates coached 2 of them. I mean, you got to let that sink in when you think about that. So I think about all the things that happened to this team off the field, off the court, them having to gel together and come together, and then what they were able to do on the court as they played throughout this tournament. Playing teams that they played before, playing teams that they had beat them before. And then making adjustments and doing some things differently, and just the unselfish play of young freshmen on the team, and that all together wanting to contribute. To me, it's unbelievable when you watch a team come together like this Alabama basketball team has.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Think about Gurley, who's down the stretch. Several guys PT was kind of impacted, but this bench has probably been as impressive as any bench I've seen. And what I mean by that, not just their production, but their attitude and their readiness and willingness to play DC at all times. Like you just go to a guy and he's ready. I mean, you've not seen this Alabama team have to go to the bench and whoever they have to call on, whether it's Files, whether it's a guy not playing, whether it's Quinterly being injected into the starting lineup, whether it's Bradley, in the Mizzou game when Quinley got to start and struggled. Bradley came in, I think he scored 6 points in a row. It just hasn't mattered.
Most definitely, and it's really hard to pinpoint a Alabama team in the past where that's been true. I mean, the one NATO's team that was really good and really good enough to beat UCLA if we hit our free throws and made it further than any team, I think would have been, lacked the depth that this Alabama team has, and so I'm really pleased with every aspect of this Alabama team's on the court play.
DC would who would start off of that team from 2 years ago with this team? Herb, maybe?
Herb Jones.
Yeah. I mean, think about that for a second. I mean, we're talking about this Alabama team, and we're talking about a team that really outplayed UCLA if they could have made free throws, would have advanced. And we're saying that one of the 4 starters on that team probably would have been bench or the second rotation of the bench. That's how talented this team really is.
Most definitely, and I don't think people realize how talented this team is. And at some points during the season, I think it took a little while for this team to realize how talented it was and how to play together. And I found it quite interesting that in all the things that were going on, Nate Oates said that he pointed back to that preseason scrimmage game that nobody really saw that gelled this team to play together. And when they got blown out against TCU, and they had to realize that they had to use more than just their athletic ability. They had to play defense, and they had to listen to the coaches and scheme and prepare and manage film and manage their off the court time. I think that was really important in this team coming together, and as a young team, having some veteran players like Quinley and Gurley to help them down this, to understand how to do that, and seeing them not being selfish, it really helped this team turn around and come together and be the team they are today.
Yeah. The depth of this team is one thing that I think a lot of people forget, as you were saying, DC. That and the fact that they're not only the depth, that they're young and able to utilize the depth the way that they are. Because you're talking about, you're not just looking at Gurley or Quinley, who have been around the block and have played a lot of college basketball, but then you go to Griffin and Pringle and Bradley and what they're able to do and how they're able to contribute to this team. This is probably the deepest Alabama team that I've ever witnessed.
Yeah,
and then you got Nabari Burnett and Dom Welch, who we haven't called their names, but I believe truly if they were called on to come in a pinch, would step up and contribute as well. They've contributed over the season.
Yeah, and was Nabari hurt during the tournament? Why didn't he?
I don't think so. I think it just didn't get to a point where he was needed, I believe.
Yeah, which is, but he's been playing. To me, since he's been back, I thought maybe I know they mentioned Welch, but Nabari did not. I don't think he played at all in the championship game. Even when they went to the bench, so that's what made me when they went deep into the bench, and with Miller being out and injured, and a couple times they played small, and so it was just interesting that he didn't play. I didn't know if there was something going on there or not. DC, I've given you guys enough chance to think on the 3-point play, and Alabama wins. If we got a couple of our chatters online giving their thoughts on those questions. Alabama wins the national championship if they're giving their big 3 in terms of players. What's your big 3? If you want to get that in on the conversation right now, just call 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. You're in with Martin Houston, Xavier Houston, DC. We're powered by MaX Sports.
100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks, everything pretty quiet on this Tuesday morning. Now, if you do see conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is loaded with new and used vehicles, all at great pricing. Check them out today at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with Autosave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's Babbel.com.
Tuscaloosa Locksmith sells key remotes, remote fobs, smart keys, car remotes, and Black Rifle coffee. They also do laser engraving. Tuscaloosa Locksmith, just off 15th Street behind the fire station.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another cool and dry day today with a sunny sky. Tuscaloosa's high 56. Another freeze likely tonight. The sky clear, the low at 30. Tomorrow and Thursday, sunny both days with a warming trend. The high tomorrow is 63, the high Thursday 71. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 33 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit him online at softmarkdesign.com.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. We're joined by DC today, a DC report, Capstone report, and when we're breaking down the 3-point play, we're looking at what 3 players need to bring their best games, or who are the big 3 of those, and then what A-plus aspect of the game needs to be played to perfection for Alabama to win this tournament. And you said you had a chat to read.
Yes. Curtis Lewis getting in on that conversation. His big 3, Sears, JQ, and Miller. And then his aspect, one, he didn't give me 3, but he gave, I think, his biggest one is limit turnovers. So see Lewis going out and saying if Sears, JQ, and Miller limit the turnovers, Alabama limits turnovers, they win a natty, and that's what they need. Blind Squirrel Sports says Bama wins it all if the Tide plays smart basketball, in parentheses, limit turnovers, play aggressive offense, and he emphasized early and often. In other words, be aggressive at the start and keep it up in the intensity, and then out-rebound opponents by double digits like they did A&M. Yesterday, he pointed out that Clowney in limited minutes had double-digit rebounds in the second half, and Alabama ended up out-rebounding A&M by double digits on Saturday. So That's their three. I'll toss it back to you, X, for you and DC to share your three.
DC, what you got for us?
Well, I think my big three players would be Brandon Miller, number one. He's the number one player I think that has to have the best game ever. The number two would be Devon Quinley. I think JQ has to have a good game. And my third player would be Clowney. I think Noah Clowney has to have big games. I think when those three show up for the entire game, we're pretty much unstoppable. I think it goes without saying that we got to have Charles in the middle, so I don't put him in my big three. I don't think we have another 7-footer that rim protector like Charles, so I think he has to be there in every game. And then Sears is the other guy that has to bring it in order for us to win. So I think that's the solid nucleus for us to win. The three things I think we have to do.
Let's not mix. Let's just do players first, so we can dig into that just a little bit. X, yours?
My big three would be Miller, JQ, and Sears. I think if those three guys are shooting the ball well, that this Alabama team really does.
Yeah, and we'll circle back now. Okay, so what was your three again, DC?
Miller, Quinley, and Clowney.
I like all. I mean, it's really, this is one of, I think that this team has so many choices, but if Bediako plays the way he played Saturday, he showed. You look at the 5 blocks, but that's not where he changed the game. It was all of, you go back and watch that Texas A&M game. In the first game, they either got that floater off and it went in, or they got to him and got fouled. In this game against A&M, they were just all over the. I mean, they were. He changed the shot so early in that game that they were out of whack. So that if we have that influence, to me, whether it's against a team that has really good guards, because guard play, from what I've seen in the in March Madness, mature, excellent guard play has been the ticket for champions as of late. Joe, I know you would you agree with that, Joe? I get your thoughts really quick on.
Oh, definitely. Guard play is essential in March Madness.
Right. And so if our defense can extend itself like it has been doing and run people off the three, and Bediako protects that rim, this team will be special. So I think Bediako, and of course, since I'm the host, I probably can take a different angle than you got. Defensively, if Bediako is there, and Miller plays the way he plays, and then you can take Clowney to help out on the big, and our guards just play like they normally play out on the perimeter. Defensively, that's the key. Offensively, I'm going to say, of course, Miller has to show up, guys. I think this team, if Sears is hitting his shot early, this team seems to play better. I don't know what it is. When he starts off bad, everybody seems to start off bad. And so that's cute, huge. And then my third one offensively is kind of linked to the aspect of it. It's just the guard play, if I can do, period. Whether it's Quinterly and Sears, whether it's Bradley and Sears, whether it's Bradley and Quinterly, instead of picking a specific play, I'm going to just say guard play, guys. And X, I'll toss it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at when you're looking at what this team has to do good, it has to do well when it comes to winning, and what I feel like they need to, where they need to play their A+ game. I'm going to give 2 facets: turnovers and 3-point shooting. I don't think we can shoot the way that we did through the SEC tournament and how the season ended and win. And of course, if we keep the turnovers in that 10 to 13 range, I think it would be very successful for Alabama.
DC.
Well, I think my three keys to victory in the tournament goes a little bit beyond the three point shooting. I think we're going to have to. There's going to be times where we're not going to shoot well, so we got to overcome that. We got to learn to do it. We did a little bit in this tournament, so I think going into the big NCAA tournament, based on playing on places that you've never played before, don't play very regularly, then you get opportunities to have to weather storms where you're not hitting your 3-point shots. And I think that in order to do that, you have to be built to do three things, and that is intense defense. And I think they really picked it up during the SEC tournament. We saw Alabama can do that. You just mentioned Charles Bediako increasing his intensity, and I think the whole team has to play an intense defense against the other team. The second thing is X is correct. You got to limit turnovers. You got to limit the ability of the other team to have the ball if you're not hitting on all cylinders, scoring the ball. And then I think the third and final thing is you have to play on the offensive side of the ball, pushing the ball to the rim, dribble driving to the rim. That rim 2-point play game has to be superb. And in doing that, you have to do that in combination with offensive rebounding. So if we do all of those things, we win every game in the NCAA tournament. If we do all of those things and hit our 3-point shots, we blow everybody out.
Agreed. When we're talking about the total package of what Alabama brings, Alabama, in my opinion, has the deepest team with the ability to do all of the same things that the starters do. When you're talking about Gurley coming off the bench, when you're talking about either JQ or Bradley coming off the bench, Rylan Griffin, Lamar Burnett. I mean, this team has the ability to not lose much when going to the bench. Pringle, I mean, like I said, this team is just extremely deep and is going to be able to, in my opinion, compete with every team. They even maybe is more physical, as we've seen through the SEC tournament with Missouri team, with a Mississippi State team, and be able to shoot if we shoot the way we did Saturday against Mizzou. So this team is going to be really hard to beat at the end of the day.
Yeah, and let me jump in there on the aspect of what I think, and I'm going to throw one in there probably that it's fundamental basketball, and with the way we play, it could be a game changer. But before I do that, Virgil Williams said, "Go through Miller on offense." Virgil, you must be sitting at my house. Poor Simeon when he's watching the game. He's like, why is Miller not touching the ball? Somebody help me. So he gets pretty intense when Miller doesn't touch the ball on offense. And that's what it means to go through him. He doesn't have to be the one scoring, but I believe this is Virgil talking about, I believe when he at least touches the ball, we have a higher percentage scoring. And he said needs Bediako and Sears to be consistent. And then our guards need to stop pressing and thinking they have to do it all. Those three need to bring the ball up court and trigger the play. They definitely need to have less dribbling around and more movement of the ball and bodies, no standing around. And I think the announcers said it best. They had Missouri chasing and they had A&M chasing. And what I mean by that, they make the defense chase the ball. I don't care how good you are defensively. You cannot move as fast as the ball can. And when this Alabama team moves the ball, and hey, listen, I saw them run an actual play the other day that was so sweet. The Clowney slip to the goal, where it looks like Rylan Griffin was gonna go down to get the corner three. Clowney was on outside the foul line. He came up like he was gonna set a pick or screen on the pick on the defender. When the defender was trailing him, came up, and the defender going down thought he was going to do it, and then Clowney slipped to the goal. Beautiful play, executed. I know you have talent, but give this talent more plays. I think is huge. And then one other aspect of the game DC and Xavier, I don't know who said it, but it is the most basic thing in basketball. And I said it yesterday. Follow your freaking shot. The reason we out rebounded them was Brandon Miller had probably 4 rebounds or 5 rebounds off of missed threes where he followed his shot. And when you're shooting 3 for 25 and you follow your shot, you're going to get 7, 8, 10 rebounds because everybody just takes off to the other end. Just follow your shot. And I know that sounds crazy because all of the things you guys have talked about, I agree with. No limited turnovers. I think 13 will be too many. If you get over the 10, I think when you get deep in this tournament, if you're still turning the ball over 10 to 13 times, you're not going to win a Final Four game probably with 13 turnovers unless you turn the other team over equally. But I think 10 and under is good, especially if those all turnovers aren't created equal. You need to have dead ball turnovers, DC. If they're live ball turnovers and they're leading to runaway threes like we had, runaway points, then that's a different story. But to me, those things are kind of obvious. So, but DC, that's what I say. I move the ball, run some offense with this team, and then also follow your shot. Your closing thoughts before we get the break.
I agree with everything you said, everything X has said, and I would like to throw one other thing in there that's an intangible that people say it's cliche and you make it's just something you talk about. But that intangible is you got to play with heart, and I think that Coach Oates summed it up in the press conference when he said he went to Clowney at halftime and he challenged him. He said, "You have 0 and 0. You're 3 fouls. You're a 0 for us. And if you're a 0 for us, we're going to lose this game. You got to go back out there and play your game." And then he goes back out there and he said, "You have 0 points, you have 0 rebounds, you have 0 blue collar points. And you got to go out there and play blue collar basketball like you're supposed to play." And he goes back out there and he has 11 minutes. He has 12 minutes. He plays 12 minutes in the second half and he has 11 rebounds. And then that rebounds led him to the scoring around the basket and open 3-point shots. And so I think we don't, people say it's cliche, it doesn't mean anything, but I think being challenged and playing with heart is going to get you a long way in this NCAA tournament.
Agreed. And as we get ready to hit the break, when we come back on the other side, we're going to break down a little bit of Alabama football as they get ready to kick off spring practice and get DC's opinions on what are some of the biggest areas that you're going to be looking for to see improvement from on this Alabama team and some of the position battles coming up. And we'll get you on the other side. Remember, you can join us on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
I'm Kim Rankin with your Tide Sports Update. The Alabama men's basketball team earned the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Former Alabama defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs has been re-signed by the Detroit Lions. Former Alabama defensive tackle Deron Payne has inked a new deal with the Washington Commanders.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. Run it again! For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet on this Tuesday morning. Now, if you do see conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is loaded with new and used vehicles, all at great pricing. Check them out today at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package. drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Excitement is running high in the month of March at BMW of Tuscaloosa.
Old man winter is disappearing in the rearview mirror.
Spring and summer are coming up fast. BMW of Tuscaloosa is equally excited with our all-star lineup of incomparable BMWs.
And our great selection of used vehicles.
You'll get more return on your investment at BMW of Tuscaloosa.
Skyland Boulevard East.
Roll Tide.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
Reading Allies needs you. Each year, they need volunteers to assist with struggling readers in our schools. It is easy to sign up and to volunteer, and you can make a difference in a child's life. Please go to readingallies.org. Reading Allies needs you. Each year, they need volunteers to assist with struggling readers in our schools. It is easy to sign up and to volunteer, and you can make a difference in a child's life. Please go to readingallies.org.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back in.
Welcome
back in. Let's get to the Alabama 1 spot. That's if you're out there, anybody making big plans for spring? I mean, there's two things that you need to get ready for spring in Alabama. That's getting your boat, your ATV, your UTV, your camper, whatever you do to get going in the spring, and then also getting your cooking items ready. And we're going to help you with both of those. You can get a great loan, great rates by coming to Alabama 1 and get our small wreck vehicle promotion going on right now. And or if you're a farmer or you like to piddle around on that hobby farm, you need commercial ag equipment or small ag equipment, golf carts, whatever it is. And then we'll give you a big green egg. You can get entered to win a weekly big green egg giveaway by getting one of those loans. And then you're going to have flexible terms, no payment for 60 days. So go to online at alabama1.org /big green egg 2023, or just go click Alabama 1 and then click on the promotion tab there. And we'll give you a big green egg if your name is chosen. But you'll also get a great deal on boats, motorcycles, RVs, UTVs, golf carts, and more, as well as that small ag equipment. So go check it out, alabama1.org. X.
Before we get into the football conversation, real quick, DC, with Alabama being the number 1 overall seed, they're playing the winner of the playing game between West Virginia and Maryland. Between those two teams, who do you think is the best matchup for Alabama?
The playing game is
first play in the game. I think is SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, and Texas Corpus Christi. That'll be the first game they get. They won't get if they get past that game, then they'll get the winner of the Maryland West Virginia game, I believe.
That's correct.
But for that first game, I think Southeast Missouri State probably going to come out of there and play in games, see how they play. I think Alabama gets past them, and then I think Alabama matches well up against Maryland if Maryland were to win that next matchup.
What are your thoughts, DC, from a West Virginia standpoint? They tend to, West Virginia tradition, just what you talk about, they seem to play with a lot of heart. I've not seen them play, watched them play this year, but they usually play with a lot of heart, a lot of intensity. And both of those are probably more physical teams than they are finesse teams. Did this SEC tournament, kind of the 3 teams we played, kind of prepare us for this first round of March Madness?
Yeah, I think if it definitely did. I was thinking kind of just rehashing over the SEC tournament. And I thought, of all the teams that we could have played, could have been matched up against, these three that we drew really were the tough, hard-nosed, defensive intensity teams that we'll see in the NCAA most likely. So I thought it was a very good preparation for the NCAA tournament.
I agree. I think they were our kind of our antithesis to who we are and how we like to play. And the only other one that I would put in there that may would have helped prepare us even more would have been maybe Kentucky, but I mean not Tennessee. And so I thought that was really good in that sense. X.
Yeah, I think that would have been a good matchup as well for Alabama and Tennessee, even though they are missing their point guard who's out with the season with a torn ACL. Just the way that we played against them to go up against them again. Yeah, I think it would have been an interesting matchup and seeing how Alabama would have made adjustments to overcome what led to that loss, which is foul trouble and free throw shooting and turnovers there. But DC, moving into the football conversation, your coach of the day, what are you looking at and who you want to see improve the most?
Well, I think the three aspects that I'm looking for in the spring practice is one. I want to see the new coaches, how they gelled and put their stamp on their respective groupings. I'd like to see what they're doing, if there's anything different. If Coach Saban's allowed them to do anything different, or do we see anything different out of the coaching moves? The second thing I'm looking for is the team coming together and what type of early on can we see what kind of leadership and what kind of identity that you're going to have when you finally get all of them together on a practice field. And then third, I think you're looking at who's going to replace the leaders and the standouts from last season. That's you got to look at first on your offensive side of the ball, your quarterback. Who's going to be your quarterback? You lose a great quarterback in Bryce Young. Who's going to step up? And I think spring practice is a way to see who might step up and have the ability and the talent to do that. And then on your defensive side of the ball, who's going to be your alpha? Who's going to lead the defense and step up and replace a Will Anderson Jr. type production? And then in the back end, you got to have a safety. Who's going to be your hard-hitting, hard-nosed safety that's going to come up and really ring them? And in the spring practice, you get a chance to see people who are going to be athletic enough to do that. So that's what I'm looking for in this spring practice.
And when you're looking at the quarterback position, where are you leaning? Are you leaning Ty Simpson, Jalen Milroe, one of the new guys, Eli Holstein, Dylan Lonergan?
Well, I think it's a perfect opportunity for someone like Eli Holstein to step up and really make a move. And the reason I say that is, I think we have a clean slate here, an open slate for a competition for the first time in quite a while. And the last time we had something like that, players, you had Jalen Hurts emerge early on in January and really emerge in the spring practice. And even though he didn't get the start against USC, he was the first player off the bench and really solidified his career for that going forward. So it can be done. But I think the money rests on Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson. Which one of those two, if you don't want to take a chance, you're going to be conservative. You pick one of those two. And I think Ty Simpson's game really plays into what we know Tommy Rees's offensive scheme to be in the past. But I think either one of those has an opportunity to step up and win the job.
And I would do what now?
Right.
Go ahead. And I would add to that Jalen Hurts was a starter, was a first team guy. You can't convince me otherwise. In Saban did his thing where he puts an older guy out there first, but you don't go to the backup that quick in the first game of the season unless he has proven that he's the starter. But without getting into off the field, there was a reason Barnett started, and we'll leave it at that. But he was never the best player. I think Holstein has a legit shot to be the starter. DCX, what are y'all thoughts? The governor, did y'all hear what the governor of Texas said?
Oh yeah, I heard him.
Yeah,
I'm sure Jalen Milroe heard him as well.
Now, what if I'm Sark? I'm calling the governor and saying, "Hey, be quiet," because
We don't need that.
well, number one is this guy could be back at Texas.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be funny. It's just you don't know with this transfer portal stuff. But I'll talk back to you, X.
I just found it very interesting the governor would make a statement like that about a guy from Texas. I mean, he obviously knows that Jalen Milroe is from Texas, and you had to be talking about him because he's the only Alabama quarterback anyone else has seen play. And then Jalen Milroe took it personally. I saw from Jalen Milroe's Instagram account, he made a post that kind of took it personally. So maybe it motivates him, but it was kind of strange the governor of Texas getting involved in it.
Hey, let me X real quick. I know we need to get a break here, but let me ask you a quick question, guys, and kind of give a short answer so we can get the break and get to the fourth quarter. But I know Tommy Rees had a style recruited Ty Simpson, but doesn't an athlete like Jalen Milroe give him something that he didn't have in his other offenses? Number one, and number two, does his offense require you to be an elite passer? And when you take those two together, even though I know Ty Simpson is a good athlete, he's not on the level of Milroe. Does that maybe bode well for Jalen Milroe?
Well,
I believe that the athleticism is always going to be a benefit and always going to play well into an advantage. Now, the question is, how has Jalen improved as a passer? Because if he's just a good passer, he doesn't have to be great. I think that it's his job to lose. Just if you see him take that next step, kind of how we watched Jalen Hurts progress through his career. Year 3 for Jalen, even though he wasn't the starter, you saw things in his game that you now are seeing come to fruition at the NFL level. So if Jalen is able to just get to that level with his athleticism, which is a Lamar Jackson type of athlete, I think you can't go wrong with him.
My quick response is I think Ty Simpson's abilities are a little more than people give him credit for athletic-wise. And I think that if I go with what the players think. And when you look at every player that's been asked that question, they're no longer on the team. They point to Ty Simpson as the man to watch. So I think there's something there.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I think Ty Simpson is he was a top dual threat quarterback. So anyone that's looking at it and not seeing that this guy has some athletic ability, definitely aren't watching or haven't watched. My point was, we're assuming that that's the style that Rees wants because that's what he had at Notre Dame. He may not could have had a Ty Simpson, Jalen Milroe, and it'll be interesting to see if they try to make, and I'll close with this and we get to break, if they try to make Jalen Milroe a Notre Dame style quarterback, it's Ty or Holstein. If they go into this and they try to run offense and they kind of build it around the athletes, then it's going to be an even more interesting setup. So we'll watch it. We'll watch it right here on the Martin Houston Show. We'll keep you in tune with it. Come back on the other side. We'll put the finishing touches on this edition of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, with DC joining us. DC, we'll let you tell them why you're able to be with us each and every week. Thanks for being a part of the show, guys. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet on this Tuesday morning. Now, if you do see conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is loaded with new and used vehicles, all at great pricing. Check them out today at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. Temperatures remained just above freezing last night, but for counties to our north, lows dipped into the 20s. A wind chill advisory currently in effect for all of West Alabama because temperatures feel like they are 3 to 4 degrees below freezing. Another freeze warning in effect for all of West Alabama overnight until 10 tomorrow morning. Another freeze possible this coming weekend. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
When you or your family is in a car accident and injured, I've experienced it firsthand, and I highly recommend Stephen Mesrano, Mesrano Law. Call now, 205-800-8000, 205-800-8000.
The weather outside might be cold, but these deals at Townsend Nissan are hot, like $2,000 discounts on select new Nissans and finance rates as low as 1.9. Wow! And up to 90 days before your first payment. Townsend Nissan has the inventory that you want with over 200 new and used units in stock. And yes, we want that trade-in regardless of its condition today. And yes, Townsend Nissan does build some of the most fuel-efficient, safe, and economical vehicles on the road. Keep your family safe in a Townsend Nissan. Y'all come see us today.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
Weather brought to you by Tidwell Chiropractic, the only third-generation chiropractor with over 26 years experience in Tuscaloosa. Call Tidwell Chiropractic at 752-2503.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We have DC Capstone Report. DC, tell us a little bit about your sponsors and the ability. We appreciate you being on, but it's not free, and we appreciate those who sponsor you. So tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, it's great to be on, and glad you have me on, Martin. But yes, I couldn't do this without Lance Shores and his RollTideBama.com, freelancepictures.com. He is my production manager, handles everything about our podcast. And that podcast will be coming up starting next week. We'll be looking at spring practice and getting ready for the A-Day game. So we'll have a spring podcast going up through spring practice to the A-Day game. And a new sponsor that I have this year is Karen Cottingham, a new realtor here in Tuscaloosa. She sponsors me, and glad that able to do that. She gets her business started off the ground here in Tuscaloosa. You can contact her at 205-887-4008.
All right, that's Karen Cottingham. And if you lose that name, remember Keller Williams asked for that lady that sponsors the Martin Houston Show. If you lose that name, but that's Karen Cottingham. And what's that number one more time?
205-887-4008.
All right, that's Karen Cottingham serving Tuscaloosa and West Alabama for your real estate needs. All right, DC, as we move forward, I'll circle back, let you give closing thoughts because we'll have more time to talk about Alabama football. But closing thoughts on this Alabama basketball team, I tossed it out yesterday. Has Nate Oates done enough right now to match Alabama football and what Nick Saban did, or does he have to get to that level that this program has not ever been to in terms of the tournament, because he's already taken it where it's never been before. This is new territory. I said yesterday, DC, the reality of it is, if this was college football, Nate Oates would be in the playoffs because he's in the Final Four and he's the number 1 overall seed.
Yes, I think he's taken this team already to heights it's never achieved before. Number 1 overall seed, 2 times sweeping the SEC tournament and SEC championship. And I don't think people realize how hard it is to win the tournament championship and the season championship in basketball as opposed to football. I don't people know how hard it is to win the SEC, to win the national championship in basketball as opposed to football. I think in order to move into that Nick Saban category, I think he's done so much already. But I really do believe in the minds of most of the fans, he'll need to get them at least where they've never gone before in the tournament. And I think that would be in that Final Four position. I think winning a championship in basketball is much harder than it is in football, and especially when you're Alabama, starting in Alabama. Alabama won. People don't forget, before Nick Saban got here, Alabama won national championships before. This is something we're getting in a position to win a national championship. Alabama hadn't been this close as a number 1 seed in the tournament ever in the history of Alabama basketball. And don't give Alabama basketball short. It is the second best basketball team in the SEC, only following Kentucky. Right. So I think this is still a great accomplishment for this Alabama basketball team. So I think if he gets to the Final Four, he's done enough. If he wins it or plays for championship, he's matched.
Yeah.
Coach Saban his first 4 years.
Here's my thoughts. Now, has he accomplished as much as Saban? Not if you're measuring championships.
No.
But if you had told me that Nick Saban would win a championship in his first 4 years, it wouldn't have been hard for me to believe in football. If you had told me that Nate Oates would have Alabama as the number 1 overall seed with a bench that's 10 deep and possibly having all of those guys back with the exception of 1 or 2, and the program was at this level, I would have told you Saban's accomplishments were much more likely to happen and easier to get to than where Nate Oates has already got this program. Now,
and be honest, if I told you on your show at the beginning of the basketball season, Martin, guess what? My prediction is Alabama's going to win 30 games. They're going to win the SEC title and the SEC tournament title. And we're going to do that with a team of freshmen and a couple of older people that may gel together. And we're going to be the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. If I told you that at the beginning of the season, what would you have said?
I would have questioned whether or not you've been doing something that you shouldn't.
Yes, you would have laughed. And most every Alabama person would have laughed at that. And that's why the accomplishment is so big that where he is right now.
Yeah, and that's why I say, yes, he hasn't won the championship, but I think his path to where he is right now is a greater path than what Saban had pursued in his first 4 years. Even though Saban won a national title in those first 4 years, that wasn't new. It had been done before. A path had already been trodden out. That path has not been trodden out. Nate Oates is taking this program to places it's never been. Now, can he finish the job? I'm going to be watching it, and we'll start watching it on Thursday as Alabama will take on the winner of the play-in game. DC, tell them where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at dccapstonereport.com, DC Capstone Report Facebook page, and find us on rolltidebama.com or freelancepictures.com with some great Alabama content. You can also always follow me on Twitter at DavidCott50.
All right. That's DC Capstone Report. That's Xavier Houston. That's Joe Gaither. I'm Martin Houston, and challenging you to stay tuned for more great conversation right here on Tide 100.9. Remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. And may he direct the path of the Crimson Tide to the Final Four. We'll be watching and then talking about it. Thanks for being a part of the show. Roll Tide out there, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, got a report of debris on 2059 eastbound near exit 86. Apparently, a truck has lost some of its load and cars